Grüßt euch. Welcome to the Unit 6 video in our Common Classroom Errors series. So this week there are a couple different things that we might want to look at. And well, there are two different assignments, so it makes sense there are a few more for this unit. So to start off with, we want to be careful and be sure that we're matching the formality. And this really comes up when we're talking about the comic assignment with the waiter or the waitress. You either want to be using informal the whole time or formal the whole time. Remember, the rule of thumb is that if you call the person by their first name, you'd use informal, and formal if you wouldn't call them by their first name. So basically, that could change depending on what the restaurant situation is. Is it a really fancy restaurant with maybe a big age difference between you and the waiter? Well, then you might want to default to Z. Is it a more casual restaurant where the waiter or waitress is a lot younger, maybe you know them, maybe you've been there a few times, well then you may end up going with do because you're going to be less formal with them. And that's something that depends a little bit on the comic you're making or the situation you're in. But the idea is just to match. It should be the same. The customer and the waiter are either both using formal or they're both using informal. Then we get on to the idea of prices, and the thing that gets a little bit mixed up sometimes, because Germans do money a little bit differently than we do. So they wouldn't use plural when they're talking about money. So it's just going to be euro or dollar, no matter what the price is. There's no difference for the plural or singular, whether it's 1 or 2 or 500. It's just euro or just dollar. Then a vocabulary word that gets confused sometimes. There is a German word called also, but it means like therefore. So we can't quite use it in the same way we would use the word also in English. For that, you can remember there are a couple words that might work. Ebenfalls is in the German units. You might also use the word auch, and that would also mean also. So we want to be careful about that. As we go on, be careful with the word order too. And the word order in German, remember the big rule is that in a German statement, the verb always wants to go second. So when we're talking about eating breakfast, if we want to start off and say I eat, we might say ich esse. Notice the verb is second. If we want to flip the sentence around a little bit and say for breakfast I eat, we would say zum Frühstück esse ich. So notice that difference in the verb order. The verb is staying second. Zum Frühstück esse. So be careful with that verb order. I know that's a tricky thing, and it's especially hard because it's different than we do it in English, and it doesn't sound as natural and normal to our ears. Alright, the last thing is a phrase that I see pretty commonly going through German assignments. Haben Sie einen guten Tag? Comes up in a lot of this assignments where somebody's leaving or someone's in a store. We have to be careful because that is not a German phrase. German wouldn't say that at all, really, ever. And guten Tag really is only ever a way to say hello. It's only ever a way to greet somebody. So there is a German phrase for that. For informal, we'd say mach's gut, or for formal, we'd say machen Sie es gut. And that's not word for word the same thing, but it's the phrase that used in this situation. It has the same meaning. So we'd want to use that instead. Alright, good luck with the Unit 6 stuff, and hope you've enjoyed the unit.